Kate, you ready? Good morning, all. Welcome to the Warren County Tourism Department meeting for December 4th. I need a motion to approve the prior month's meetings. Mr. Vanslo, Mr. Conover, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, we're gonna go right into resolutions, and we're gonna have to, there's quite a few today, so I'm gonna turn it over to Kate, and, we'll try to discuss the ones that would need to be discussed.
All right, this morning Peter and Tanya and I are going to give you updates on the current programs and how we're moving along. We're also going to have a presentation from John Daniels of L&P Media to bring us up to date, and also Christina will give a report on the CVB. And the 8 resolutions are as follows. You all have them in your packet. You received them electronically as well, in case you had a chance to review them. The first resolution is for a contract with L&P Media. As I told you, they're reporting later on today. Our contract is expiring at the end of the year, our current contract with them, for website production services, hosting, etc. We did go out to bid through the purchasing department. We received quite a few responses. We tabulated them and reviewed the lowest bidders who met all specifications. And we do want to recommend to proceed with L&P Media for a 1-year contract with an opportunity to renew for 3 additional years. You have the backup enclosed. Peter really is ready to respond to any questions you may have. But we would like to proceed with them for another contract.
So just to clarify how the web proposal works, on the screen you'll see the bid prices. So we received 10 bids in total. These were the 4 lowest, so these were all the relevant ones. And right away you'll see on line A the bid prices. You see $12,000 here. Obviously that looks like it's the lowest, and $19,000 here. But when you start factoring in some other stuff, mainly the annual hosting fee, this is a reoccurring fee that you just pay to have your website online, you'll start to get some different and more true numbers. So currently L&P on a 3-year hosting basis would cost us $1,400. This Origin 8, which looks like the low bid, is going to charge us $16,000 just to host the site. So that's just our website being online and them doing no other work. So that kind of starts to give you a better picture of what the bid cost is going to be. So what I did is I broke down the bids on what their proposed total is, and then some other factors to show you the math behind it. So these right here, this proposed total is the line A, B, C, and D. They're reporting all of that right here. So you can see that this $12,000 bid turns into $40,000, and these are our new 3 lowest bids. And then we have 2 other factors that go into this bid. There's a cost to transfer. L&P currently holds the site, and anytime we do a transfer, and this is industry standard, so anytime you transfer your website contents from one company to another, you have to pay your current company X amount of man hours. Our site's huge, big database, a lot of files, and they are estimating anywhere from 24 plus man hours. So on the lowest scale, 24 hours at $120 an hour puts us around just short of $3,000 for transfer, if not more. That's a price that L&P would not charge if our files still stay with them and exist with them. So that would give you inflated numbers here with a cost with transfer. And then the last line item is this blue mark here, integration of our database. So currently all of our properties, anything that we keep tabs on is in our database, and we export a feed to them. That feed was built 3 years ago, and it's been updated yearly, and is what we currently use. That feed would not have to be rebuilt. So they bid this in here just as part of the RFP. They did not want to get excluded for missing a line item. But I've called, confirmed with them that if we continue to use our existing feed, that $4,600 does not get rebuild. That's if they have to build it from scratch. So these are the truest numbers we have. I can explain any of the math in there if anybody wants to go over it, but the total cost is on a 3-year basis, for a one-time build and hosting and reporting at meetings, puts them at the lowest bid price. I'm not really a numbers guy, but I can certainly try and field any questions you have. But I do think they're the best value.
You're lying.
And we have a great working relationship.
Yeah, and
with
then there's
them.
all the intangibles. They're proven, they're in Albany, so it's local.
Right.
They're willing to come here a lot, but they certainly do provide the best value, in my professional opinion, as far as a working relationship. They've proven they can do this, and they do have a reasonable cost.
So we would recommend proceeding with the contract.
Are there any questions, Conover?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just quickly, the primary category, website creation and setup fee. What are they going to do for that fee?
Okay, so
I mean, we have a site now, right?
we have a site now.
So they're going to
And-
take that site and they're going to,
Rebuild it. Right now, they're doing an adaptive website, because that's one of our big things. That's under this current contract. So what would happen, how we bid this out, is we always want to have a web contract so we can have people working on our site upgrading it. This web creation and setup fee is in 2 years. If something new comes out, a whole new system that we need to take advantage of, they would rebuild that site at that cost. Since we don't need one right now, we wouldn't be paying for web creation fee. Hope I'm explaining that right.
But
Our-
updates and
yeah, our
things like that would
contract-
be included.
Our contract ran out at a time when we don't necessarily need a whole new website. But since when you bid it and you renew bids, we needed to make sure that we cover all our bases of what the site, what would it cost us to rebuild the whole site. And we did kind of future-proof these specs as far as this is what we need, our capabilities. So let's say that a different company took the bid. They would transfer our site to them, and our current site could exist for a year or two with them. They wouldn't necessarily rebuild it. But then, 2 years down the line, you want to rebuild your whole site to take advantage of new web browsers, new ways of coding, new content management systems. That would be that web creation fee. You might-
yeah, I was just wondering how a prospective bidder could evaluate that in terms of putting a dollar sign on it. I mean, they put dollar signs on it, so they must have had something that they were looking at that, maybe you could explain that a little bit.
Yeah, so what we did is we evaluated our existing site, and we said, we want all of this to exist, but we want to make sure that it's adaptive and can work. Can you guys rebuild this for us? We also spec'd it, like how much would it cost to build this system again from the ground up, in case we have to switch over to a new content management system that's better for us. Content management system is the behind the scenes, how we populate our page with images and text, things like that. That allows me to interact with the website.
So that's the price, so they bid on what their price would be, so they have to rebuild the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that if we get down to 31,740, if we do not have to rebuild the site, is 31,740 less the 21,900? Or is it less some part of the 21,900? Do you follow what I'm saying?
Right.
This 31,000 would be if they had to, let's say that we didn't have a website right now, we have nothing. If they have to build us a website from scratch, and then they have to integrate our database, and then they have to host it for 3 years, and then during that 3 years they have to report at quarterly meetings. That is, this number right here, this total cost, this proposed total, is what all of that would cost. So this line right here is how much all of those items would cost to rebuild our website from scratch, integrate our database, and report at quarterly meetings and host it. Now, where the extra math comes in is that our website is already built, so we don't need to integrate this database. So that's the 4,600 here. And also, because our website is already built, we would be transferring a lot of the contents to a new company, and that is where the man hours come in that you would have to pay for LMP to bundle it up, transfer it to a new vendor, and kind of work in unison with a new vendor and us to get everything up and running. And we've gone through that process before, and it is, it's not like it takes 2 days and they just bundle it up and send it off. It's usually, they send a big package of information off to the new vendor. The vendor takes a look at it, has a bunch of questions for us. We get into a conference call with L&P, and then, you know, hours start to add
So
up.
we will be paying the $31,740 over 3 years, even if that includes the $21,900.
Yeah, well, I would imagine in
That's
that,
a scope of service that they've agreed to provide. They don't know whether we're gonna access it or not, but should we access it?
correct. So if in year 2, say they win a bid, or one of these vendors win the bid, the first year, whether it's we would just use our existing site or transfer it, our fee would not be the $3,100. It would just be the hosting fees and setup fees, things like that. If in year 2 we decide we want to rebuild our site, and a lot of these rebuilds focus around like new developments in the web industry, like new content management systems, or like right now the big thing is making everything adaptive. You want you know, your site to work across all the different platforms, mobile phones, iPads, things like that. So that is the big rebuild. We built our site 3 years ago, and since then the industry's kind of completely flipped. We've received almost 50% of our inquiries on mobile devices now, so we need to adapt to that, and that's where we rebuilt the site. Who's to say that in 2-3 years something completely changes the industry again? That's where that bid would come in.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, any other questions? Mr. Fixon just ran out of the room, but,
If I could,
okay, go ahead.
all right?
Yeah.
So, my name's Frank Dietrich, representing the Inn at Earl Weston Sun Castle Resort. Question for you across these properties, and specifically with the current provider. What kind of analytic data do you get from them, or what did you solicit from the others to understand how powerful, if you will, the website presence is today? So are we looking at Google Analytics, or are we looking at other kinds of data, and was that part of the RFP?
We currently do look at a lot of that kind of stuff. We go to workshops for Google Analytics, trying to learn, like, Google's always changing what they value in search rankings, things like that. So we're on top of that, and we do use Google Analytics. And actually, a lot of our site restructure that we'll talk about later is based on what the users are using when they come to our site. So the consumers coming to our site, and believe it or not, fireworks is one of the biggest things that they like. So fireworks should be front and center at all times. And there's some other things in there. Lodging, they want lodging at their fingertips. So we use Google Analytics to kind of formulate the bid specs. But as far as them...
But as a part of the, excuse me if I can, as a part of the hosting service, do these providers offer that to you, or is it incumbent upon you and the team to drill into all of this? I mean, to me, it would strike me that there's a lot of people that do this kind of work, right? That there's some that are going to be more powerful than others at leading this site towards the hotspots, if you will. So your content here should be refreshing faster because people are going to fireworks or lodging or Americade that time of year, right? That we'd be getting that input from the provider rather than having to do the labor, if you will, to go seek it out.
It's kind of a hybrid in that they provide us with the tools to access it, and they do review it with us and offer suggestions. But a lot of that is also us logging into our Google Analytics account, learning about the accounts and how they work and how to best take advantage of them, and understanding our own stats. It's important that we know what the users want, and that way we can refocus no one's going to take care of our site like we take care of it. But as far as the vendors providing in these bids, statistics and reviews and stuff like that, certainly they all provide a portfolio of what they're capable of, and stats are in that. But again, I would revert back to L&P's done a fantastic job with us so far. They seem to be a very reasonable bid. They're in the lowest 4, and then when you factor in some other stuff, hosting fees, things like that, they're actually the lowest cost, and I do feel that you get a tremendous value from them. And they do provide stats and figures and things like that.
And we are having a presentation later on, and John Daniels, maybe you want to ask him some questions, which
Perfect.
would be good.
Sorry,
All right.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions from the board, members there? All right, can I accept the motion, Mr. Conover, Mr. Dickinson? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passed. All right.
All right, so
Yes, sir.
You skipped the discussion part, buddy. I'd just like to say that I think Peter and the rest of the tourism department did a great job with those bids. They're a lot more complicated than grabbing the lower number and saying we want them. I think they did a great job breaking them out and explaining to us exactly how they work. I think it's very interesting, and I give Peter a lot of credit for everything this out. It certainly didn't turn out like it looked in the beginning,
thank you.
and it's interesting to see how this whole thing is working.
Didn't skip this discussion phase, though you were out of the room.
Sorry, Bill.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and it's passed. Okay, move on to number 2.
The second one is, to request a contract with the Lake George Chamber of Commerce and CVB for special event, convention, and conference development for all of Warren County. Last month, you all received the full responses to both of the bids that were submitted. You were asked to review them and respond to me, and most of you did do that. We since have met as the chairman and with the purchasing department to review, and Supervisor Molino had further discussion with the Lake George Chamber.
Yeah, all the bids, the 2 bids that came in, the lowest one was the Lake George, and that was $165. I did meet with Mike, several times to discuss that bid and with, respect to the price and what we really need. The Lake George Chamber has dropped their bid to $140. I do have mission statements here for anybody that wants to see them on the side from that bid.
I included
And, we did work, I'm sorry?
I included a copy with all
Oh, you did that already, okay. And I did, they did work with Mayor Blaze and our department, because Mayor Blaze wanted to get a website put up for the festival space. So now, the Lake George Chamber and the CVB board is gonna do a website with this proposal, so it'll, Mayor Blaze knows about it, he's all on board with it. So it's just that we won't have 10 different websites all around our county for different things, and I think that's gonna really work out. And, you know, if it gets approved today, which I hope it does, I think we'll work well with the chamber and the CVB board and keep an eye on what goes on, so that this time next year, we'll have a great handle on this. This is a big adventure, basically, that we're gonna take now, and I think they'll do a good job. So with that, the board have any questions on what we handed out and what everybody saw?
Under, attachment 2 for the resolution request, the last 4 pages are the resubmission. In case I think you have seen it already, but if you wanna look at it again.
Not home.
So we would like to proceed with that recommendation.
All right, any other questions on it? Do I get a motion to proceed with this with the CV, Mr. Dickinson, Mr. Vanslo? Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
The next
Don't
6
let us down.
resolution requests are resolutions that we need to have in place to begin the new year. They're standard operating resolutions. So I will go through them. The first one will be your number 3 on your resolution request. It's to authorize the continuation of a lease agreement with the Adirondack Factory Outlet Center for our satellite tourism office/visitor center, in the amount of $15,000, which is $1,250 a month. We'd like to proceed with the contract, please.
Get a motion, Mr. Conrad, Mr. Vanslo? Is there any other questions? Yes.
Just for the record, talking thousands of visitors, do you have the number just
Well,
off the
we've
top of your
talked
head?
about it at recent months. I did give a report. I don't have that at my fingertips about all the countries they were coming from
Right.
and all the contact. And, you know, we're not staffed all of the time, but when we're there, the dialogue is great. From locals as well as out of the area. Our presence, I think, is, very well received. I know it is.
Mr. Dickinson, do you have any?
I do. I'm not all that thrilled with this site. I don't think we're getting anywhere near $15,000 worth of advertising and promotion out of it. I think most of the people that stop in there are stopping into Dave's stores. It's a good place to wander around while you're waiting for your sandwich from Sammy's. I don't see it.
Additionally, we've introduced it as a meeting place for bus tours too, so when they go in there, they can get their coupons, they review our space. I think there is value other than, I understand what you're saying, and certainly people are waiting, but we're there, so maybe they're finding out about an event that's happening this weekend and, or information for their traveling family that's coming. But if you want to change something, that's fine.
Mr. Kenny?
I think it offers value because, the personal contact aspect, the tourism department
Mhm.
here is largely unavailable. People don't come in off the street to the
Right.
tourism department, whereas they do there, so, I'm in favor of it.
And I would add my 2 cents is that we give out more brochures at that visitor center in 1 year that we've done in a lot of years here on our little rack.
Oh,
So I think the people
far.
definitely pick them up, take them home, even if they're out shopping, and then read them later on. That's what's important.
and we have the guest book, which I brought in to show where the people are coming from. There's certainly many from out of the area, many, to sign it.
Any other comments?
Just, if, I think it helps to orient people as well to what's available in the area. And, not just where to stay, but what to do. And, perhaps, under this contract period, perhaps we could, measure that a little bit so that we could respond to that concern, concern on down the road as to, value of that service to, you know, obviously many thousands of visitors.
You know, additionally, this tourism department staff is probably the most knowledgeable staff, I know it is, in the county for knowing county-wide recreation, activities, lodging, dining, et cetera. So I'm confident that with their expertise, it's really a bonus for all of us to have them there.
If we could have a little, I'm sure you must have some type of evaluation form or some type of questionnaire. You want to keep it short. You want to identify what it is that you're most interested in hearing from them about, but I think it would be a pretty simple matter. They could just take a few minutes, perhaps, to fill out a quick few question form, and then we would know that they would be able to measure that concern.
Additionally, they sign that in the guest book now, you know, very helpful. We do get comments, but we could add a little form if the committee would like that.
I think that would be great, you know, how to improve our service.
Okay.
What were you looking for? What kind of information, so we know, you know.
Yeah, were we able to,
And it would
meet what
vary,
we
of
needed?
course, it would vary through the year, right? We'd be able
Sure.
to measure the feedback. It'd be helpful for our business community as well, to have that information.
Dean, you want me to make a comment?
All right, go ahead, one more comment.
One of the things I don't care, you know, this, I'm giving away. The purpose of it is not being what it is, like, this past weekend, last weekend, Lake George had the lighting ceremony at Crandall, or at Shepherd's Park. That would have been great to have people that would be there, and there were thousands of people that weekend here. None of them knew about that lighting ceremony. I thought there was gonna be a lot more TVs. I think you can make your money if you had the greatest gift. Some of the people that wanted to market it, you had TVs around showing what's going on, update us, the weekly events, what's going on, and like, I don't care, I'm not involved in that, you know. I thought it was more of an information center, which I don't think it is now. You have the same pictures up, that were there for a year, or whatever, you know, showing different areas. But it's not interactive, it doesn't show what's happening next week. I mean, there are thousands of people that go through there, that don't know Lake Luzerne exists, that don't know Boat Landing. They're up here shopping and they're, you know, I mean, they have to go ask for information, but great, the TV screens, they have all that wall space with, you know, that you could update and show what's happening every day in Warren County. But we don't, it doesn't show anything about Gore Mountain.
There is Gore Mountain in,
But they're just
oh, in the video.
well, it's a sit and running video, but you could have 10 videos, one on golf, one on that, you know, they have enough wall space there to really promote Warren County. And that's up to you folks, I don't really have anything with it now. I do think it could be used a lot better for, like when you go into a major outlet, you see when they had marketing, and I think you could even charge for it. If yeah, nice, get Great Escape monthly and all that events, I'm not, you know, get money from other people. But I don't know that the tourists there are getting the information. Quite frankly, I, as a local, didn't realize the lighting ceremony was going on in Lake George. I read about it someplace, but it wasn't current in my mind. There, where we go, that was up there, oh.
Well, I believe on the bulletin board that's on that easel, there are the upcoming of that week events.
Yeah, I know, but people don't, it's, okay, that's, I don't think that's current market, I think, you know,
We could look into something like that, I think I
I think
understand
it
what
could
you're
be
saying.
improved to give the customer a lot more information, a lot easier. Or if they search for it, they'll find it. They can go talk to the person that's there quite often
Mhm.
and get information. But most people just, you know, they're shopping, oh, I see stuff. But that's
All right,
these folks.
thank you.
They're feeling way better.
Any other questions?
They can do it.
All right, we got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unopposed? Opposed. All right, passed. Move on to the next one.
The next one is to authorize attendance for tourism department staff at upcoming 2015 consumer shows, in-state, out-of-state, and in Canada.
Skip one.
Giving us permission, pardon me?
Skip one. Skip four.
Number 4.
Yeah, I did, I'm sorry. To continue our funding with the Lake George Visitor Center in the village, through the village.
Mr. Kenny moves that, do I get a second? Mr. Conover? Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
Okay.
There you go.
Then the next one is for attendance at consumer shows, et cetera, in-state, out-of-state, and in Canada for tourism department staff, 2015.
Can I get a motion on that? Mr. Kenny, Mr. Conover, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Passed.
The next one is similar. It pertains to group tour and motor coach for Tanya to attend conferences, et cetera, in 2015. Also, supervisors are encouraged to attend any of these with us as well. That's part of the resolution. So we need to proceed with travel permission in 2015.
Mr. Conover? Do I get a second? Kenny? Mr. Conover, got a question?
Yeah, I think, Kate, that, there's been, questions and interest expressed in the Canadian market. I know you're doing a lot up there in terms of the Canadian market, and, but it would be really nice if all of this was committed to one piece of paper, the whole Canadian initiative, so to speak, because I think it's pretty substantial.
Mhm.
And then I think that would allow people to look at it and say, that's great, but maybe we should be doing, in addition to this, maybe we should be doing this or this or this. And I think that if you could just bring all of that and summarize it on one piece of paper, and maybe even also incorporate on that what the chamber is doing. Because Mike, I know you guys attend a lot of are focused on the Canadian. Then when we sit down, we can really look at it and say, you know, we're doing great. We need to do this.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I would like to concur with Supervisor Conover. I think there's an opportunity, Kate, for us to get together because we do shows up there.
I know you do.
And, you know, pooling our money or looking at it from a broader point of view, I think we might be able to expand our exposure and truly show the value of being up there. I think it's a very good point. Thank you.
And just, Canadian market has increased, just from a hotelier's point of view, hugely, so it is, a place for us to be, definitely.
I would just like to concur, 18% of our business is Canadian, and 36% of our business is New York State, so it's at least half of what we do in New York State. New York State's our biggest market in the north, so can't discount. If we lose the Canadians, it's all over, and I'm sure Dave would concur, shoppers right now, there's a ton of Canadian plates you're seeing around this time of year, you know, where, so, I mean, obviously, the discount rate has everything to do with it, I understand that, and we've gotta just capitalize on that for now. If that changes, we lose them no matter what, but I mean, we just have to really make a concerted effort to get the Canadian, most important market in my mind. And they stay longer and they have a lot more time off. That's, you know,
It's
better.
true.
All right.
It does
Donald.
pay.
Yeah, and also, that's a good point, and also if we could, cast all this information by time of the year, because perhaps there's a certain thing we should be doing
Right.
this time of the year, and then as we move into the holidays and we move into, you know, there's something we should be doing during this time of the year, and that, up into and including our packaging, right?
Absolutely.
Up into and including our packaging, and how we pull these things together, because I've been told that there's, it makes sense for the Canadians, if they're gonna do a lot of shopping, to stay overnight. Am I right about that, Dave?
Oh, they have to do that.
See, and so now the question becomes, how do we take our retail and our hotel, and we package all this together to maximize during that time of the season, or any time of the season, and I think if we put it all in one spot, I think we could really put together a coherent.
Well, I had a package going on this weekend, with the Canadian market, and I'm dealing with them again next week. I had a limo service from my hotel to, outlets to do away with that loop that you can get stuck in.
Right,
And,
right,
it
exactly.
was available 11 to 5, and they loved it, and they came back and they had a limo. So, definitely the Canadians, you know, and the New Yorkers, but it was.
There's a
hard to
great
market it.
opportunity here, I think, to really, I think we're doing great, but I mean, I think if we can sharpen it, let's sharpen it.
I think Kate would support this statement, but our experience, not only in Canada, but pretty much at all consumer retailers, is that it's one of the first questions they ask when they come to our booth is, what kind of packages are you offering? So the more we have to bundle and put out there for our visitors when they come to our booth, it's an advance for everybody.
All right.
Well, like I said, at the national shows, the Canadians come to America because they have goods, which helps them come down more. But for shopping only, they come here because of their high taxes on apparel. And they don't stay a night, and they go back, they gotta pay the tax. We're moving a good to come. So by saving they save up to $800 a trip by, if they stay overnight. It's the taxes that they pay. We have a 7% sales tax. I don't know what it is, I don't know how it correlates to their pricing and stuff, but apparently built into the price of clothes in Canada is a very high tax. So they come down to America, whether it's Niagara Falls, whether it's anywhere. And that's where we are trying to tap into the hours. And they're also a much more loyal shopper than, so, that's the reason.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, number 6 is passed. Move on.
Number 7 is a resolution to extend our existing contract for 2015 to continue our relationship with the Adirondack Regional Tourism Council for marketing through the New York State Matching Funds. We do this annually. Our New York State Matching Funds are, it's heavily encouraged. This is how you support your region. We are in the Adirondack region as identified by New York State. So this resolution would be for next year and not to exceed $128,000, and that's half of, that's already matched at 128. So I need a contract to continue for 2015.
Kenny? Mr. D'Angelo? Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Number 8.
The last one is to authorize an agreement with the Travel Plaza Information Centers on the New York State Thruway, 3 highly visible and high-traffic information centers, and we do brochure distribution at Plattekill, New Baltimore, and Sloatsburg. It's $5,495, and I looked it up. We've distributed over 35,000 travel guides last year in 2013 at those 3 centers. So we need a contract.
Mr. Kenny? You get a second? Mr. Conover? Question?
On our surveying, in terms of how did you hear about us, or how did you hear about, where on the list do the brochures fall? I know word of mouth would be, there are others that are on top TV.
Picking up at an information center, not high.
So the brochures don't fall high in terms of how people.
They might reference our brochure more than they would say the information center. We found out you in your brochure. It's not a high response as someone heard about us. I think we're so familiar that was on the Thruway, people are on their way here. It's an asset to have the brochure, and our events brochures as well, or for another trip. So there's great value in it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
You have information, on our most recent summer conversion survey. Our department has been surveying consumers for quite a few years now, who've requested information from us with, and left an email address, so we kind of connect them to certain campaigns. The summer one is connected to our broadcast campaign that you have in front of you. We do them twice a year. We attempt to ascertain daily and overnight spending habits, how many requests converted to a visit, where the consumers visited, if not here, where did they go, a little bit of personal data about the person who requested who answered the survey. This year, the survey revealed dining, family amusements, touring, and shopping ranked as the top activities. Most stayed in motels, hotels, and resorts in Lake George, Diamond Point, Queensbury, followed by Bolton Landing. 62% of the travel plans were made by a woman with an average age of 53 with a college education. Research was done mostly on the internet, yet 63 of the reservations that were booked by directly calling the property, followed by 37% who booked online. In the summer, the overnight party size was approximately 4 people staying 4 days, and spending $99 per person. 57% of the responders rated their stay as excellent, 32 very good, and 98 would recommend the area, 98%. The majority of the responses were from New York State, followed by Connecticut, New Jersey, and Canada. There is much more detail on what you have, including what people would like to see changed in our area. I always like to look at that, and really parking ranks high on that, the parking in Lake George Village situation, or they'd like to see free parking. That came up often, and you can see that toward the end of the whole survey. And it's great because you think, what would you like to see changed? And there's several, more than several, that say we love it the way it is. So while there's some good suggestions, it's nice that people chime in that we love it the way it is. All right, then moving along, we have a newsletter on the screen. Our last 2014 quarterly newsletter distributed on November 20th, and everyone should have received that. We have your email addresses, and all the committee should receive it. It's distributed primarily to our local tourism-related businesses and our government officials. Our goal is to update our tourism community on recent and upcoming promotions, including visuals and stats, as well as supply research on travel trends and newsworthy feature stories. Our contract with the CVB also includes a submission by Christina, which is in it quarterly. The November newsletter was sent to 1,088 email addresses, unique addresses, with an open rate of 15%, which is considered good. 12.5% to 13% is average. The most clicked story was Governor Cuomo's announcement regarding the $6.3 million Lake George Beach Improvement Project to improve water quality and increase recreational access to the lake. Next, we have our winter midweek lodging program, which is on the screen. The feature button is a small square on currently on the home page of our website, and that is the landing page for the midweek program. This year, 8 properties are participating. We have Anna's B&B, which is in Chestertown, Sleep Inn and Suites, the Sagamore, Best Western, Cunningham Ski Barn, partnered with several lodging properties, Ramada Glens Falls, Alpine Lodge, and Fern Lodge. This program was featured, well, I think
I know that young
oh,
lady.
it is. That was Tanya up at the Fern Lodge. She didn't even know that guy.
Nope.
He was helping the photographer.
He was holding the light.
He was a gripper.
It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it, right? I
Right.
understand.
So it was featured on our November 12 email blast, and all participants have live links to their properties. Their packages need to be valid December 1 through March 31 and represent savings, and we encourage them to package with winter recreation. So several have Gore Mountain tickets, West Mountain ski tickets and tubing, Adirondack Winery, cross-country skiing, meals, etc. And then moving along, last month we reviewed the New Jersey Transit Platform program. We reviewed the inbound stations that we are advertising at, and we looked at the creative. Now, we just have a couple of pictures of showing the posters in place at a location. So commuters have the great opportunity daily, to see our area advertised, to keep it in their top of mind as a great winter destination. There's a QR code on it that can be scanned to, show all of the winter events. Excuse me, it shows our winter video, the QR code. And we pronounce our ski areas on that, as well as the, snow train. Moving along, we have our 2015 email blast program in place. Joanne and I put a timeline together in November. We select the distribution dates, the content. That's an example of a blast, and what you have shows advertisers or partners that have already responded and secured their date for 2015. We have a need to increase the size, the space of our blast for more content and more capabilities. Peter has been working with Mike Colvin to research some new software, so do you want to chime in?
Yeah, certainly. We've been running this particular way of delivering blasts for about 5 years now, and it's time to update it. So we're looking into some new software to give us a little bit more capabilities as far as working across multiple platforms, different phones, different operating systems, different emails on those different operating systems. There's a slew of ways to check your email now. So this one-size-fits-all does not necessarily work optimally. So Mike Colvin's looking at getting us some software where we could, it'll work on an iPhone as well as a desktop computer, and give us a little bit more ability to create content and display content a little bit better. I think right now we're limited on how big, how tall and wide the email can be, and hopefully that new software will remedy that and allow us to get it so, make them as big as we need them to be.
You can see the partners of Fort William Henry and the Georgian and the Lodge of the Cresthaven really see value because they've secured quite a few locations. Next is your public relations report for 2014 November. Joanne put this together, and some of the most newsworthy media happenings include an upcoming Ultimate Guide to Summer in Westchester Family Magazine, and a craft beverage trail placement in the Boston Globe, which is written by Steve Germanic, who visited us this past year. And he is extremely well read. He has done very well for us through the years, so we look forward to that Boston Globe story in particular. We also show the significance of our Facebook likes, which have exceeded 6,000 now, and our Twitter followers are increasing. And then lastly, we did have submitted Part 2 to the matching funds application. We received a grant estimate, which I mentioned before, which is just $1,300 less than last year, so it's $78,076. That is it for me, and move along to Tanya.
Okay. Tanya, group tours?
I just have a few things here. The first slide should be the group loop. That went out in November to a little over 3,000 recipients. And it just, you can't see it because it's kind of small, but it did highlight the availability of the new group travel planner that you all got in the last committee meeting. And also just had some of the tour operator comments from the recent FAM tour that we had in September. Typically, the first show that I do to start off the new year is American Bus Association. And you've heard this before because we continue to be the sponsors of the tour operator binder, which is used during all the appointments during the marketplace. So you can see the picture of the new binder for this year, the cover, and then the back cover, and those are the supplier partners that help us with that. So once we have secured the sponsorship, that allows us to have a booth all week long on the marketplace floor. To get people to come to the booth, we do a little postcard, which is put in all the tour operator registration bags. So they get their postcard, and that kind of is an incentive for them to come to the booth and network a little bit. They can enter to win a Adirondack chair, which we mail to them, ship to them afterwards. So that's just a picture of the postcard front and back that the tour operators receive. One thing new that I'm doing this year is I'm going to work in the Destinations in New York State booth. There's a lot of suppliers that come to that booth because they do a lot of fun prizes. That will allow us to have our collateral there. This is just a picture of us in recent years at our own booth. But when I'm not working our booth, I'm going to be over in the Destinations in New York State booth as well. So that's another opportunity for us to network with tour operators that I may not see during my appointments. Next is was an opportunity that went out to all Warren County partners. Viator is a TripAdvisor company, and it's the leading seller of tours and activities online. I encouraged Warren County partners to sign up for this. It was a free opportunity if you contacted them before the end of the year. Basically, what Viator is it just is a listing of all things to do in New York State. They feature a lot of New York City partners at this time, but they didn't have a lot of upstate New York, so it was just encouraging Warren County suppliers to sign up for that. So that went out by email.
A lot of international travelers.
A lot of international travelers, of course, book tours online. So to be a partner with Viator and TripAdvisor is a big advantage to entice international travelers to your business. Next, we had just a little coverage. I think it was in September, we partnered with I Love New York. I think that's the wrong. No, go back one.
This is...
Oh, well, we don't have a slide for it. That's okay. Regions throughout New York State recently partnered with I Love New York on a responsible travel fam tour. So we had, I think that you have a handout in your packets. So we had about a group of 10 to 12 tour operators and travel writers that came up, and they, how they describe responsible travel is a richer, more authentic travel experience with benefits to the community and conservation. So in your packet, you'll see a nice article that was written that was a result of that fan tour. Next is the Haunted History Trail, which I have talked about before, but I don't think I mentioned that Lindsay's blog is part of this website. What the website is it's a collaboration with 21 counties throughout New York State, and it just features haunted and non-haunted itineraries and attractions that people can visit. Lindsay came up to our area and she did quite a few things. She stayed at the Fort William Henry. She did a Fort William Henry Spirits of History tour, and she had lunch on the Lake George Steamboat Company's Lac du Saint Sacrament. So you can see that we got some exposure there on the website. Next, we just had a little editorial I submitted to Group Tour Magazine, and it covered the railroad heritage in Warren County. So not only did the Saratoga North Creek, the railway, but the Depot Museum and also Railroads on Parade got a little exposure there. And lastly, I think Peter just has there's the responsible travel. It's out of order, I'm sorry. And lastly, you should have some copies of the recent ads that we've submitted in Bus Tours Magazine, Group Tour Magazine, ABA Destinations Magazine, 2 placements in Student Group Tour Magazine and GroupTourMagazine.com.
And there's one on shopping.
One on shopping. Yeah, that was actually, the one on shopping was an e-blast that went out, that we did through Group Tour Magazine.
And you just had a call from Niagara Bus Company in Canada.
Yeah, and I did just recently come back from OMCA, which is Ontario Motor Coach Association. Typically, I do at least one Canadian show a year. I flip-flop between the Quebec Bus Owners Association and OMCA, and we had a lot of great leads from that show for Canadians wanting to come down and do tours with us for 2015. So it was a really good show. And that's
Any
about it.
questions for Tanya? Move along. We'll start with Peter on creative.
All right, since we last met, these are the 2 blasts that went out. One was their winter contest, sent to 137,000, and that was November 12th. And then since then, we ran a program that kind of scrubs our list, removes duplicates, bad emails, things of that nature. And we just sent this one out Wednesday, and our list only dropped, to 124,000, which is good, because we purge the list almost like twice a year now, I think. So, we have a fairly clean list, a very clean list, and, so anyways, this one featured, things to do this winter, outdoor recreation, inside stuff, museums, activities, restaurants.
Maybe you could explain the character of the list, who's receiving that are on the list?
On this list is anybody over the course of, how long have you been collecting it?
Quite a few years.
Quite a few years.
Opted in to receive future promotions on our area, so they,
They're
they're
looking,
subscribers.
they're specifically looking for
It's
information.
a very important
Yep.
list,
So it's very targeted.
Yep, these are-
qualified.
Yeah, so these are people that are always clicking, we do want to hear from you. Here's our TV campaign, our winter TV campaign started running. I'll play this for you, hopefully it's not too loud.
This is the 30-second.
No place like it, with 3 unique downhill ski areas highlighting flexible slopes, new mountain improvements, and value. Miles of firm trails for snowmobiling and cross-country skiing. Escape to exciting seasonal events. Indoor water parks, diverse dining, and shopping galore. Incredible, affordable, and easily accessible. The Lake George area in New York's Adirondack. Go to LakeGeorgeNY.com for a free travel pack and a chance to win a fabulous winter getaway.
Okay, and again, we send all TV to LakeGeorgeNY.com, which is separate from VisitLakeGeorge.com, so that we can better track TV. We don't send anybody else from print or any other web generating leads to LakeGeorgeNY.com. So the idea behind that is LakeGeorgeNY.com should only be accessed by people that were directed there from TV, help us measure our TV campaign. So,
I'm curious, Peter,
yes, sir.
as to the effectiveness of the 15-second commercials versus the 30-second commercials. Seems like the 30-second is much better than the 15-second.
Again, I have
About
to
the
defer a
response.
little bit to Tom from Adirondack Workshop on that, but I think the long and short of it is that sometimes 15s become a little bit more accessible as far as budgetary. You can plug them in real quick, and in different markets, there's certainly different responses to different lengths. So
And the
15
cable will only take a 30. So
Yeah.
it's the networks that can have the 15. And you'll see, I mean, I have the Today Show on in the morning when I'm getting ready. Our 15 is running there, and it's just a quick reminder, but,
So the 15 and 30 are our primary TV advertising campaigns. The VOD is the minute-long one, and that's like a supplementary one that usually goes on like the Market Showcase. And if you remember, like Time Warner Cable, click here to view more, and that's the one where you can watch the whole elaborate one. And even on that Market Showcase, you can then use your TV remote to order our travel pack, our brochure. So this is our travel pack that we feature, and some banner ads that go on various TV stations, websites. And again, this is our LakeGeorgeNY.com landing page. It's not a big site, it's just a small landing page where anybody from TV will go. They will enter their information to receive our travel pack and enter for a chance to win our giveaway, so there's some incentive to go there. And when they exit that site, when they hit submit, then they go seamlessly to our VisitLakeGeorge.com site, so then they have all of our content at their fingertips.
can you show the rest of that or not?
I
Drop
can't
down,
right here, I
okay.
can go online and show you.
Oh, that's all right.
This is our landing page takeover that goes along with that TV campaign. This displays on the Time Warner Cable webmail login, so this will exist for one whole day. Anybody that accesses this site can click here and enter for a chance to win our getaway packages. And I think Tom had talked about this before in last year, how it does pretty well.
It was on there the other day.
Yeah. And this is our contest giveaway. So we point a lot of things to this particular form. It's a button on our homepage, and this is our getaway. And this is where we generate a lot of our email subscribers too. These contests are pretty popular as far as people signing up and giving us their email and letting us know that they want to hear from us in the future. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to John Daniels from LNP Media. Currently, we are rebuilding our site. We've talked about this in the past and how we are making it adaptable so it scales and presents well on a lot of different devices. And he will go through some of the stuff that we're doing and undergoing to make the site a better experience.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning, John.
Good morning. Thank you, everybody. I'll just stand so I can look at all. I don't like having my back to people. Feels rude. My mother would yell at me if hey, Mike, how are you? Good to see you. Good. So we were very excited to have an opportunity to redesign and redevelop the Visit Lake George website and change its whole appearance and also make it responsive for mobile devices. Back in April of this year, 2 years earlier than what all the industry experts said, the amount of data transferred on mobile devices surpassed that on all desktop devices. So obviously timing was very important for this, and I'm sure as Peter goes through the web stats, he sees more and more people from mobile devices hitting the website. So it's critically important. And then also really leveraging the imagery that the county has for the beautiful place that it is around here, and really taking full advantage of that. So if you look at the new design that we've come up with, first, as I mentioned, it's built to be responsive, so that on your iPhone, your iPad, your tablet, your Android device, your PC, your big screen TV at home, or the smallest device, it will appear and it will staff the information appropriately. So as you can imagine, that can be challenging because we're going from screens maybe this big all the way down to screens about this big. When it gets this big, we're dealing with horizontal space and how to stack that information. When it's this big, we've designed it so that it will scale the entire screen, really leveraging those powerful imagery that's going to be there. So it'll have an edge-to-edge display. So imagine the screen on edge of the screen on either side of that image, and it will have kind of a two-level navigation, similar to what we see on a lot of progressive sites today. The colors are, we've increased the size of the logo, and we're really leveraging the colors of that logo throughout the entire design and the website. The other thing that we're doing is what's called a persistent header, so that if you look where that Lake George area logo is and the top level navigation there, that is consistent throughout the entire site. So as you scroll up and down, go to different pages, that's going to be very consistent throughout the entire site. We've designed you can stay right up in that area, that's perfect. We've designed the bus groups and special events, weather, media, getting here, brochures, links, that used to appear or presently appear in the left sidebar, and we brought them up to the right top area. That is the most important navigational or viewable space on any website. It's where the human eye goes immediately, is the top right. So we've brought those areas out to make them really easy to find. We've also made searching the website and subscribing to email, collecting those email addresses for the campaigns that we were talking about a minute ago here. That's very important. So making certain that that information is very readily available and easy to find.
Just a quick note. Yep. So if you're on your iPad or even on a computer right now, if you scroll down the page on our website, as you scroll down, this top white bar follows you down the page. So you always see our logo, you always have that sign up for our email, you have all the other pertinent information at your fingertips. So it follows you right down the page, and at any time you can easily navigate to any of this other stuff. What we talked about earlier about using stats to determine how we build our website, we factored in a lot of things with our Google Analytics, what people are looking for, to give them the page architecture, the hierarchy that's needed. So these are the things people want to see right away, and they need to be called out, and they need to be up top and persistent.
Great, thank you, Peter. The new design is going to have rotating graphics used to promote special events, utilizing full-size edge-to-edge imagery that I spoke about a moment ago. It includes an overlay to allow for an intro or descriptive text to promote the event. So up in that larger image, up in there, Winter Wonderland. So there's an overlay on top of that that's editable for the folks here in the content management system. So the images can be tied to some type of message. You can click for more information. However, we're designing it so that it's what's called semi-transparent. So it's not going to block any aspects of the image completely.
And again, what we had on our existing site, if you go there now, is you have this image rotation at the top of the page. And it's great because it features a lot of good images of the area, and pictures sell the area. What we've done here in this new site is integrate, and also on our site below that you'll see these three little boxes that rotate. Those are our feature boxes. Those are kind of our great things to do in this area, neat things that we want the consumer to know about. What we've done is we've merged that, and we combined, this large image space is now just not for pictures, it's interactive. So we have a big image and we combine the features. So this could be potentially for Lake George area featured in X Traveler magazine. Great big picture headline right here, click, read that article, things like that. So we've merged two big things into one bigger thing.
And this is prototype now? We're looking at prototype?
Yes.
Yes.
And then we've still maintained the functionality of the feature bar by having, to be like our secondary information things, coupons, things like that. We still have the ability to feature 3 more things. So this up here, rolls. So there'd be up to 5 to 6 to 7 big feature items that the user can kind of thumb through, and if something catches their eye, they can click it.
Can you take that picture?
Carl
Hellman.
He's really talented.
Someone hiked up there in the morning, that's
Yeah, that was a chilly hike.
Beautiful picture.
You'll also notice in the top nav, which remains throughout the site, those little plus marks. That's to help the user realize that there is more below when they click on that, and that they can receive more information. As Peter was mentioning a moment ago, the home page also has 3 important call-out actions, which allows for the team here to update the home page, reflect the 3 most important activities that are going on. So descriptive title, a strong colorful image, some brief descriptive text with a read for more button. A lot of the way the design is coming together also is really in line with a lot of the studies that we've been doing with other tourism groups and also municipalities. We did a big study for New York State DMV when they went to redesign their website, which recently launched. And what we found was in the top percentage of readers in our population, no more than 25 to 27% of a web page is read. So the idea, we peruse, we browse as a consumer out there, and we rely on those images and those headlines to pull us into something that we're interested in. So that's really a lot of the basis of how this is done. Find what you want and then drive a little bit deeper. The footer design comes equipped with important information, including areas to upcoming special events, featured articles, display of affiliate logos, etc. And we've included second level navigation items as well to promote the important, the legal aspect and all that stuff that we have to have in a footer. But the other good thing about the footer as well is it's large enough, and as the county continues to look at SEO and other things like that, the ability to add footer-based links and landing pages for promotions and SEO activities is going to be very easy to add in that area to help drive more traffic to the website.
Quick note, all the content on this page is not, it's just placeholder. It's not actually what we found to be the top 3 things. This is all just, we're building structure. We know that we have top things that we need to feature. Let's just carve out the areas that they're going to be featured in and hit the ground running so that we'll update that later.
Right. So want to go over to the lodging?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but so using this screen as a prototype, what data collection would you look to glean from a user looking at this screen?
From the Google Analytics, let's say? Well, with Analytics, we'll be able to tell what they click on, what their path was, what was clicked on most, what wasn't, basically how they traversed that page. That's how powerful new Google Analytics is. It actually maps out for us, for example, when the TV ads come in, when they fill out that information, and then you can see what do they do when they get to this main site. Are they going to camping? Are they going to lodging? What are they doing? Where are they exiting? That's a huge demographic or statistical piece of information. Where are they leaving the site? And how long are they staying on the site? Are they bouncing right off? Are they finding what they need quickly? So to Peter's point, the content chunking that takes place, so once we develop these cells in these areas, that content chunking as far as what information goes there, that's an ever-changing process, and that's why there's a content management system here, so that the county can look at that information and adjust that almost on a monthly basis.
Almost on a monthly basis?
Anytime.
The structure's built. I mean, if we want to add big changes, that's development that they'd have to do. But the content management system gives us the idea. Let's say that there's a big event coming, tomorrow, we can change out this big picture and feature the event here, or we can put it here. We can swap these out. I can come in today and change that whole homepage. And that exists currently now on our site.
Or it's a big event coming and the content isn't hitting the way you thought it would, so therefore we should change the content.
Correct. I mean, your stats come in on a daily basis, but to really get an accurate measurement of what a user group is doing, it takes a few days to a week to really get a sense of what they're doing online.
Okay, so this phase one, I think we'll have done by the end of this year, so it'll be launched December. But then there's always tweaks, updates to the Drupal platform, things like that. That's ongoing. But this site would be a good chunk of it's done. A lot of the stuff, the work that's gone into it is just understanding the stats, understanding how we want to use real estate. I mean, the screens are so small, you really got to take advantage of everything. And what's important, how can we combine sections that are popular, and all that heavy lifting's been done.
Developing for responsive has created a whole new aspect to developing for web. It really has. But that is where the bulk of your traffic is coming from.
And a lot of the secondary pages, again, we just built this 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So all of that content still stays, a good core of it's already built. Our data feeds exist already, we're exporting that stuff, so that stuff's easy to do. What we're doing now, that secondary pages, is kind of just fleshing it out a little bit more, giving the user more options, refining the search to make it easier. I tend to have fat fingers on the phone and hit things that I don't want to hit all the time, so that's stuff that we're trying to take into consideration here and just make it more a more usable experience.
For example, when we get into responsive, that navigation across the top there is going to have to it'll stack in a different way, because it can't be that wide. You'll never be able to hit it. So those are the aspects that we're working through as well.
I think we got a question here.
So obviously we're doing this change because we're looking for more engagement, I guess I'd call it, and more interaction, getting people interested, obviously, in the area.
First and foremost, this change is happening because as his stats and anybody's stats will prove, is that mobile has taken over desktop. So if you have a desktop website that doesn't convert well on mobile, and ours does well, but it doesn't, it could be better. That's our first concern. We want the experience to be the same across, any device in any operating system. And within that change, it's a good time now to really look at our stats and see what are the users looking for from us? What do they want to know from us? What do we provide them that they think is valuable? And let's organize our information in that way. So, we can push a million different things that we think the consumer wants to use, but we have hard evidence that they want to see X, Y, and Z. And that's what we're focusing on. So it's kind of a little bit of both, updating our site to provide value to them, better value to them, always changing for the better, and to make it a universal, consistent experience.
So you must have stats right now that, are you setting this up so that, here's my stats now, when I put this in, I have a goal of stats, I guess I'll call it, so that maybe the next time you report, you could say, this worked or didn't, I started here and now it's here. So we have like data to actually hear how it's doing? Because these are beautiful.
Yes.
But they don't say to me that more customers looked and more customers clicked and it all falls out into how many heads are in beds. So do you have a goal on each area to achieve that?
Well, I think one of the things he's talking about is where they exit the site, how long we retain them for. Those are stats that we always want to increase and improve. What we'll be able to do is compare apples to apples because we are you're reformatting the site, so how are you going to compare these stats against, are our stats better, are they clicking different things? Well, yes, they're clicking different things and not clicking others because we've rearranged the site. So I think once this thing's launched, we're going to have, a fresh start to really target, are we putting things where people need to see them?
I think it's going to come down more to not necessarily maybe more people visiting the site. There's external aspects that have to drive that traffic, SEO, traditional advertising, all those types of things. But when it comes to the behavioral activities of the user on the site, that's what we're going to really have an opportunity to compare, because we're changing where that information is appearing on the page now, and how different sections are gotten to. So by doing that, we can look at the stats archive from how people were getting to stuff before. Was it 3 clicks? Maybe now they're getting to it in 2. And that's really what we want to make certain happens. We want this site to be easier to use.
Conover?
I just wanted to, quickly, we have developed quite an extensive now photographic library. I'm sure it must be many thousands of this, of photographs all around the county, all different types of activities, scenic, event activities, et cetera. What is our policy if we have one, in terms of accessing that library, government to government or private to government? Private being obviously Warren County business.
Yeah, certainly.
And do we have a policy? Should we have a policy? And if someone were looking to access that library, where would they access that library? Your office?
Yeah, currently, the policy differs depending on the image, because we have, if a photographer does stuff for us, their policy may be different than other people. So certain images are off limits to other people due to the photographer, but anything in-house, which is a lot of our content, is certainly free to use. People contact us all the time, and we distribute.
And there's also a media section on the site where they can request, and what we do is we ask them to credit Visit Lake Georgia, and we're very great at
They can
lending.
access your library from
Not the whole
there.
library. Certainly we need to put some system in place, and it's a huge undertaking to make all of our photos accessible the way that we would host things, because we have so many images right now, we can't host it all on our own servers in the county, because it'd take up too much space, and IT would murder us. So much space would be dedicated to that, and the cost for server space is huge. So we'd have to set up some sort of system right now where they could, we mulled it over with preview, some thumbnail images, and then I still think there'd have to be a formal request made to us so that we know who's using it, what they're using it for, and also just the data usage limit. We can't be sending out so much stuff through our website. We'd have to manually, if they want that many images, we can give them a disk. We're pretty good about if they have a request, fitting that. If someone says we're looking for fishing images, we do a little contact sheet and say, do any of these fit the bill? And then, yes, we like this, this, and this. We send them out.
So people can access the library. It's, right now, they would call you up or contact you in some fashion.
Yeah, it's
give
not.
you a sense of, I'm interested in winter times, I'm interested in X, Y, or Z, and then at that point, you could send them some things that perhaps they could utilize.
That's how it works currently. Certainly the optimum system would be for them to look through, an image gallery and say, I want X, Y, and Z, which we're working towards.
I can append to that and also tell you that any municipality or TPA in the state is able to call or contact I Love New York, Empire State Development Corp., and request any of their tourism images that Darren McGee has taken around the state. And he's got a massive library from 20 years. You know how big that is. And everybody's welcome, as far as those municipalities and TPAs to leverage those images as well.
All right, any other questions for John? Yes, sir.
Dick Carlson from the Georgian in Lake George. I go to websites all the time, and sometimes they don't even say where they are. And I notice Warren County to be absent in any of the description there. And how about just a little map of New York, a little bitty thing with an outline of Warren County on it? It tells you immediately where you are as well. And also, is there some thought of maybe doing a mobile site in addition to the responsive site? It's even more bare bones. With links back and forth, go to the full website or just be on the mobile site. Because some people they're right in Lake George Village, and I gotta find a hotel, I gotta find a restaurant or whatever. They want the bare bones navigation and so forth, the little hamburger menu and so forth. Is there some thought of that?
I can tell you how we generally advise our clients these days, and it's either do a mobile site or do a responsive site. The responsive site and the way that they're developed today really doesn't require the necessity of a mobile-only site any longer on the certain foundation frameworks that are available. The navigation areas are tiled in such a way that there's a menu and people can find them. So if the responsive site is built properly, the need for a mobile site, unless you have stats that really support, all right, I have a mobile user and they do only this and this, then you could potentially look at that. But you're adding to development costs that could be only for a 2% of your population. So responsive is generally the most cost-effective and generally adopted method for that, but it's something the county could look at later, and the CMS system would support the content being applied to that mobile-only site.
All right, well, thank you, John, and a lot of information, and we're just gonna move along so we get the meeting finished up here. The last one we have is, sales specialist, Christina.
Before I dive into my report, I would like to thank you very much for approving the contract for the special event coordinator. I am really looking forward to, continuing on with what I've been doing, and the increased funding definitely will help me do more. So I'm very grateful, and I thank you very much for that. One of the first things I really want to do is get that festival space website up and going, and working with Kate and definitely Peter to help me do that. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And moving on into my report, I'll just touch on a few things. I know the meeting's been kind of long. I have just returned from 2 trips. One was to the Rejuvenate Conference, and the other was to the Teams Conference. The Rejuvenate Conference is a religious meeting planners one-on-one appointments. I actually felt this year for the first time, this is the second or third time I've been to the show, that they knew where Lake George was. They knew where Warren, not necessarily Warren County, but our area. They were knowledgeable. They had been here, some of them, and they remembered me from past conference. So I really feel like we're getting out there, we're getting our name out there, we're getting more recognition, which is what we want. So I came home with some RFPs from there that'll be going out to the hotels. It really was a great show all the way around. The Teams Conference was sports related, and I did meet with some people. Not too many RFPs coming from that one, because still trying to get the people to understand that you can come to Lake George, and we have, places for mountain biking and races and whitewater rafting and all of these kinds of events and sports that we want to attract. Again, feeling the same, that people have a better idea of who we are and what we are. So I feel very good coming back from those 2 conferences. Looking ahead into next year, there's a couple, well, actually there's some more that I would like to attend, and start getting our name out in the corporate market, and the National Association market. So feeling good moving forward. Touch on a couple of things here. I had a luncheon meeting with the New York State CVBs and the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. They are revamping their proposal system and or RFP system is how they send out for their championships. And I actually have received, since that meeting last week, two or three of the championship RFPs for the moving forward in 2016 and 17. So it's a new process. It's more of a detailed process that they have to go to now. So it's not just the executive director of the region saying, oh, we want this, and seeing if a facility is available. Now there's a lot more questions, a lot more details that need to be answered beforehand, and they're making sure that the CVBs are included in this process. This is actually the first time in almost 3 years that I've ever received anything from the Public High School Association. I've known about the events coming in because of talking to hoteliers and event venues, but I've not been involved from the beginning. So that was a really great meeting as well. I can tell you that there are other locations in New York State that really would love to have, especially the basketball championship. So we need to impress them and do good the next time that one comes up for bid. Just kind of going through, the King George Fishing Derby is coming together. I actually attended a meeting yesterday. They're going to be getting their website up and going. I've met or sent out an RFP to a number of hotels. I have rates that are going to be listed on their registration information. It's coming along, and I'm hoping it's successful, because I think this definitely
this is gonna be something that I can go to these trade shows and say, we have our, you know, a fishing derby, the King George Fishing Derby that we've done, it's been successful, and, you know, hopefully it'll be going on for years, so they are doing a great job with that. Other things, well, I've talked about Rejuvenate. We've had a lot of wedding inquiries lately, small ones, large ones. A lot of them have been from other locations looking for a destination wedding. So I've been sending out a lot of information on different venues, whether it be the top of Prospect Mountain, the top of Gore Mountain, or going out on one of the cruise boats. So it's been pretty interesting on that, and family reunions as well. It just seems that this is the time of year that happens. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to address them. Working with the Adirondack Radnor race to get some more involvement from the community for next year's race.
Mr. Connor?
Just a plug for the King George Fishing Derby. That was the creation of Mayor Blaze, the outgrowth of the SAVE initiative, and reaching out to the sporting community in terms of that we need to protect our waters, but we also understand the importance of sporting in our economy, and so I'm very pleased to see that. And it comes at a time, I think, after the 4th of July weekend, but in the beginning of our summer season, which is a good time for some of our hotels, many of our hotels, and so I would hope that we would see that. And also, it's an annual event in something that's homegrown, and it's ours, and so I like those qualities also.
Mike?
Chairman, I actually just want to share in the thanks from Christina to the committee for the approval of the contract. She's worked very hard in putting that proposal together, and then subsequently when we had talked and had to lower the figures, so I wanted to acknowledge that she's did a great job in preparing the contract, and we've enjoyed the partnership that we've had with the county and the tourism department the past few years. It's been a little bit of a struggle working under the amount of money we had, so this increased, and we expect will show marked improvement in our exposure and our attendance at various events, and I think it's a benefit for all of us, and I certainly thank you for it.
All right, thank you, Christina. And then we're down to privilege of the floor. Anybody have any other comments or? Yes, sir.
Frank Dietrich, Inn at Earl West and Suncastle Resort. I'd like to thank the committee for the time today. This is the first time I've been able to sit through the tourism committee. It was very interesting to see and hear. I think if you put it in context, there's some opposite end of the spectrum kind of things going on. One's the website and Google Analytics and data collection. The other is brochures, where it's kind of hard to tell if they work or not to a certain extent. We met, I presented on the 21st to the Board of Supervisors, and as a part of that, as a hotelier, tried to point out 4 things that we think are really important. The first one is bringing in some consulting help to help us take a look at tourism in the big picture in Warren County, all the moving parts that go with it. Obviously, looking at it specifically from a lodging perspective is my view, but Ron, you pointed out that it's much bigger than that, connecting the hotels to the shopping, to the activities in the area and the like, and how do you pull that together as an activity, as we read in the paper last week from the Post-Star, on the power that the Canadian market brings to this area. It's not just one thing that does that. There's companies out there that can help us look at this as a community to try to evaluate where we stand and what we should be doing. One of my experiences in the past, for example, on this website, I would sit here and say there's expected results from this website. If we present something like this, this is what we expect to have happen. Google Analytics will tell me if it is. If it's not, we have to retool. There's consultants that can help us do that. Essex County's issued a report now for, 5, 6, 7 years. That's fairly deep. I think Kathy has copies of it here. It's a data-rich environment that we can draw upon to try to help shape what the county should be doing in tourism, in our efforts with tourism overall. Combining that, the first point was using a consultant to help us look through this collectively. The second point was revitalizing the TPCAC. really here the point that hits me is we really should be working collectively between the government, the tourism agencies, CVB and the like, along with the tourism professionals that are in this area that work on it every single day, trying to rent the rooms, trying to get people to eat in their restaurants, trying to get people to come into their stores and shop. So there's a wealth of talent here that bringing those resources to bear seem especially important. The third point we talked about had to do with transparency to the process. Meetings like this obviously help contribute to that, but I think working together, trying to find out what is the best value for our money, where should we put it, and are we getting what we expect on any given investment, just like you would in private life with your own personal investments, or if you're in business with the investments you make personally. There's an ROI on everything you do, and trying to drive towards that to make sure the precious dollars that support tourism in this area are spent in the best way. And then lastly, and I want to thank the supervisors who reached out after the meeting on the 21st to meet with us. We would like to sit down and continue this dialogue in terms of what can we be doing collectively to advance tourism in the Warren County community.
I appreciate your comments, and it's nice to see a lot of the people here. We have a meeting every month, and we go through all this stuff. Kate puts it all together, and our team works. But sometimes there's nobody sitting in the seats here, and it's just us listening to it. So this is good. I think it gives you a better perspective of what we really do, and what our department does to promote tourism. So thank you. Yes, Mr.
Gina, I'd like to, I guess I'm thirding that after all the compliments, but it is great to see all of you here. I will mention most of these business people are from Lake George, but it's great to see all of you here. I'd like to see you more often, and I will again extend an open invitation to contact me anytime. Don't go to my office if you're looking for me. Everybody has my cell number. Just give me a call, and I'd be glad to meet any and all of you anywhere. I think it's crucial, especially with the changing nature of the occupancy tax and tourism, that you stay in touch with us. I don't own a motel. I don't have a tourism-related business, and your input's invaluable to me. So, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Motion to adjourn? Conover, Ms. Dixon? Thank you all for coming.
Thank you for waiting so long.
Problem.